Hello and welcome to Mike's Garage. I hope you're enjoying our videos. If you are, by all means, please subscribe. When you subscribe, be sure and click on the little notification bell so that you'll be notified every time we come up with a new video. All right, now let's get down to some fun stuff. Whew, it's really warm. It got that way like overnight. All of a sudden it's real warm, and when we get done with this video, I'm going for a ride. But anyway, to get back to this 80 cubic inch flathead U model, U series. I say U series because there's the U model, the UH, the UL, the ULH, and what they are is 74 cubic inch and 80 cubic inch variations with either cast iron or aluminum heads. So low and high compression and slightly different displacement. Just for the information, 74 cubic inch motors had a different size bore, different size pistons, had therefore different cylinders. The 80 inchers had larger pistons. While the 74 incher had a 3 5/16 inch bore, the 80 incher had a 3 7/16 bore, but they had the same length stroke, which was 4 9/32. Now, I mention this because I keep getting asked if I'm going to build a big stroker out of this. No, I'm going to build a little stroker out of this. I don't want to go crazy with it, but there's certain things that are real traditional things that I just want to experience. Every motorcycle I have is something I really wanted to experience. You can love panheads, but you have to own one and ride it a lot to understand what is or isn't cool about it. And I feel that way about these bikes, and that's what I've managed to do with my life. It's what I wanted to do. I wanted to know what it was like to experience each one of these. With this Flathead 80, I want a hopped up Flathead 80. Nothing too radical. I'm not trying to build a world beater. Just something fun, something crisp as one of these big workhorses can be. So to get back to the point of stroking this motor, let's see if we can have a look here at these flywheels I just dug up and haven't cleaned up yet. Now, the way these normally work is you have two flywheels. The rods are connected to a crank pin. Now, originally, these were stock 80-inch flywheels, and I sent them to an old friend of mine who has since passed. Some of you old-timers may remember House of Horsepower. House of Horsepower products, crankcases, all kinds of wonderful stuff done by a really great guy by the name of Clell Richards. Well, we lost Clell a few years ago. But not long before he passed, I sent down a pair of flywheels to him, and he stroked them for me. So these flywheels are actually stroked to 4.5 inches. So instead of doing my usual and buying a pair of stroker flywheels, which I could buy from either S&S, Truett and Osborne, or anyone else who makes them, we're doing it the old way, the old-fashioned way. So these flywheels are stroked to 4.5 inches. Now the crank pin, this is an original, in fact, I think it's the original crank pin out of this motor. I'm not sure. But notice this is stepped. This is a small diameter taper here. And the newer crank pins, the bigger ones, on the later motors, this taper starts clear out here on this edge, so it's a larger diameter all the way. So what Clell Richards used to do was set them up on the mill, and he would cut a new taper for the large crank pin, and when he was done, you had a 4.5 inch stroke. Not a huge increase from 4 9/32 to 4.5, but enough to wake it up a little bit. Now, I've had some questions asked, what is the advantage of stroking a motor? Well, one, of course, is you're increasing the displacement. It's already at 80 cubic inches, it's actually 79.38, 79 point something. So for all intents and purposes, 80 inches. But if we bore this thing out to 3.5 inches and we stroke it to 4.5, all of a sudden we're at 86 cubic inches. So we've not only got a good size increase in displacement, but a little more leverage on that connecting rod. A little more leverage, what we call a little bit longer arm. Now this, here we go, this is a pair of rods out of one of these motors. They're very long. These are ZA rods, and they are long. And these will, of course, get rebuilt. All of this stuff is going to get cleaned up and massaged a whole lot before we use it. But I just wanted to show these flywheels so I could explain what we're going to do. And I hope that I explained that offset taper. If you look here at this dark line, you can see the offset from when Clell bored that. He was a great man with a lot of talent and quite a racer himself in his day. Okay, moving along, talking about great racers. Yesterday, I got on the phone and I called Lineweber. Jim Lineweber's been grinding cams since he's considerably older than I am, so I don't know when he started grinding cams. But I know he was setting records at the races when I was a kid, a small kid. Anyway, I spoke to his son in length yesterday, which was really fun, and so I wanted to show these cams before I send them off. So we'll pull the cam cover here. I haven't cleaned any of this stuff up real well, but all I did was clean up the cam bushings so that I can demonstrate how these cams go in here. A lot of people have never seen a case that holds 4 camshafts. But all of Harley's old flatheads held 4 camshafts. So what we're going to do is we'll stick the first cam in here. And we'll stick the third cam in here. Now, needless to say, there are timing marks on these gears. There we go. So you can set them up so you can set the timing correct on all of them. But each camshaft has 1 lobe, and that's what we're going to change. Now, obviously, I'm not timing them properly. I'm just putting them in. This is the idler gear, which in turn will run the generator, which will be across the front of the engine and come right into here. But that's what they look like with their cams in them. You can see them all turn, and they're wonderful. But you have to get all the marks lined up, just like timing any other Harley engine. You get all those gears right. And while you're doing that, you have to set up the oil pumps properly. Oil pumps, plural. And that's because the later oil pumps are made with a feed chamber and a scavenge or return side. So the way we would do this is 2 pumps. Instead of having 2 different chambers, we have 2 different pumps. This is the feed pump that will go on the cam cover. And then we will have the scavenge or return pump. Here it is with its cover. And this is driven by these gears, and this goes right up the bottom of the crankcase. And that's what we're going to do. So this is going to be quite an adventure for me. This is fun. These cams are going to Lineweber's, and what they're going to do is put them on new shafts. They're going to put new cam lobes, and they will be pressed together, and then I will have them welded. So we will have brand new cam lobes, and I'm still fighting with myself as to how serious a set of cams I really want. I'm going to have to argue with myself really hard because I have a tendency to go for a little more than I need. And I think it would be more intelligent to not go too wild with this motor because it's going to do really everything I want it to do. I'm not going racing with it. I just want to be able to travel with it. Good, high-speed traveling machine. If this thing will run at 70, 80 miles an hour all day long without breaking a sweat, it'll make me happy. As long as top speed's way past that. Anyway, so there you have it. That's what I wanted to show. Now the pinion gear that drives all these gears will be right here when the flywheel assembly is in the motor. But as you can see, we have to build a flywheel assembly. We've got cams to have made, and I haven't decided yet on exactly what I'm going to do about pistons. Another thing I wanted to show, one last thing, and this is almost a call for help. Years ago, I had a friend in New Jersey named John. Now, John, I don't remember his last name, and I can't find it, and I haven't been able to find John for love or money. John was a biker. He was a Harley mechanic. He was a guitar player. He built a knucklehead guitar that was over the top. And then John moved to Denton, Texas, and I lost track of him. While he was still in New Jersey, he sent me a present to be used on this motor. That was a long time ago. And what he sent me was a Magneto. And my buddy John sent me this Magneto from New Jersey, complete with its parrot engraved on it. R. And I just love it. And I'm going to use it on this build. So now we've answered the questions. Am I going to run a Magneto? Yes. Am I going to stroke it? Yes. Am I going to have cams ground for it? Yes. We're going to do just about everything. And it's going to be fun. And I'm going to polish the knob on the headlight. Okay, so that kind of lets you know where I'm at and what I'm doing. So thanks for coming by. And hopefully, because it's a nice sunny day, see you out on the road.